The image of the hurried IT admin has become so pervasive. Sometimes we don't stop to think about the impact that stereotype has on our business. People in a hurry make mistakes. They get bored and leave, which translates into backlogs while you spend time and money on finding and training replacements. Or they just get overwhelmed, too busy to quickly and effectively process all the demands that are coming their way. Users will start to complain about not getting IT services fast enough. Management begins to see IT personnel as a headache. IT itself gets so entrenched on those unending cycles of firefighting, they can barely keep their head above water, much less dig their way out from under those frustrations. And all those strategic things that IT should ideally be concentrating on get pushed off to indefinitely while IT focus on most immediate tasks. If your existing IT staff can't get done everything you need, want, and expect them to do, it is probably because the endpoint management tools they're using don't do enough to boost efficiency and streamline processes. You need a solution that approaches endpoint management from a different angle, one that revolves around users, automation, and bypassing IT altogether for all the little stuff that swamps your stuff. ZENworks can help by automating the majority of common tedious and time-consuming tasks that IT administrators do every day. ZENworks can help by setting up a self-serve environment where users can download the apps they're constantly using or asking IT for without having to call IT. ZENworks can help by focusing on users, not just devices. When every user has 3 to 5 devices that IT has to manage, managing by device takes a nightmarish proportions. When you manage by user, IT goes into the user account and pushes a change from that account remotely to each device. ZENworks can also help by redirecting IT skills into more proactive projects that contribute to the success of the business. Again, time is money, and when IT admins are spending too much time on mundane tasks that the machines can do, time and money are wasted. So, how does ZENworks save you time? Well, let's start by the single ZENworks console, the ZENworks configuration center. The ZENworks configuration center basically is a one-stop tool that allows you to manage all things endpoint via ZENworks. This tool actually grows with you as you use more and more capabilities with it. So, for example, you may choose to start with bundle deployment to deploy applications and such. As you start exploring into policies, imaging, or asset management, that console will provide basically the general capabilities that follows the same paradigm and principles. So once again, the console grows with you. Once you learn to use one feature, basically you use the other. You don't necessarily have, the admin doesn't necessarily have to have all the features enabled in front of him. You can enable features as you go, and as you enable those features, once again, it is easy to get into the management of those features because you already know how to manage the other ones as well too. So another way how we help you save time is by reduce the travel time that sometimes requires to assist users and their devices. For example, remote management means that you never having to go back again and drive or fly or walk or get to a specific location where the user has problems and those devices are having problems. Application management means that no more walking to the device to deploy software. We definitely provide a fantastic set of tools to automatically deploy successfully deploy applications to those endpoints. And even with the full disk encryption, in this case, what we mean by this is that how we help you reduce time is or save time is that we have the ability to even remediate forgotten passwords or authentication passwords on those full disk encryption devices, so the users doesn't have to actually render their machine to the IT staff, or the IT staff has to actually travel to that device. How does ZENworks save you time? By allowing you to have a fast and easy provisioning. ZENworks is easy to install by using the wizard-driven process, or even by deploying it on the form of a virtual appliance. After the primary servers are deployed, whether it's in a Linux, Windows, or an appliance form, simply install or push out the agent to the endpoints to be managed. We also have faster app packaging deployment. This means quicker time to package applications and deploy them to your environment. For that, we offer Admin Studio Standard and ZENworks Application Virtualization to make it easy to package and deploy those applications. Also, the ZENworks Configuration Management and ZENworks Application Virtualization Server makes it easy to deploy apps to both managed and unmanaged devices as well too. And then we have obviously less scripting required for software deployment. This means avoid the complication, avoid all the fuss and convoluted scripting of logics in order to get that application to work, because we provide a more easy way to integrate the logic required for these applications to work. And then finally, we have the fast, no fuss imaging. Use whichever imaging system works best for you. Novell supports Microsoft ImageX and Symantec Ghost as a third-party imaging tools, as well as our own fast and improved imaging format and engine as well too. So use ZENworks to manage and distribute those images to the endpoints the proper way. So let's take a look at some examples on how ZENworks can help you save time. What we have here is the ZENworks single console. This is known as the ZENworks Control Center. It is the main single console that is used to configure settings, system settings, and perform management tasks on your management zone. The ZENworks Control Center, or CCC, it is actually installed on each and every ZENworks server on the management zone. From there, you can, like I say, you can perform all management tasks on any ZENworks server. Once you have learned how to use one specific feature, you'll be very comfortable with all the other features. Let me show you a few examples. So we mentioned about saving time but not visiting devices, right? This is exactly one of the perfect examples, right? So your IT staff keeps spending time on things that are unnecessary, productive. So here's an example of that. So I'm going to go and select a Windows 7 or a Windows device in my environment. And what I like to do with this device, as you can see, here's my device right here. Here's the IP address and so forth. What I would like to do is that, in case that this device has a problem, the user has a problem with the device and it needs to be remediated. So instead of me actually sending a tech out there to grab the device or sit in front of the end user and spend times and hours, whether it's on site with it or bringing the device in here, we can actually start the remediation process from our desk by using obviously ZENworks Control Center and the remote control feature. Here's an example of that. We can actually remote control a device by the host name or the IP address. We can do things such as remote control, remote view, remote execute, and we can actually do other things. This device can very well be inside the firewall or outside the firewall. It could be native for that matter. We still remote control that device. So let's go ahead and remote control into this device. This will allow us to at least start the remediation process. This remediation process doesn't have to be, I don't have to go to the side. So I'm remote controlling to the device from a desk, regardless of where I am, as long as I'm actually authenticated into ZENworks with my set of credentials. I'm actually establishing a remote connection, a secure remote connection. An example of that is right here. If I look at the properties of the remote session, you can tell that I am remote into this device as the operator, and a little bit of details about the session or the remote control session. And as I mentioned earlier in the conversation, I can actually do a number of repetitive tasks. I can save time by leveraging ZENworks to do these repetitive tasks and avoiding and saving time and money that are incurred when you need to send a technician and walk to the desktop. We can do things such as assign policies. We can assign application, or what we like to call bundles. We can wake up the device if it's actually asleep. We can run and scan inventories and transfer files and apply endpoint security policies and settings and so forth. We can apply full disk encryption settings and make sure those settings get applied properly and immediately. We can take an image, and we can also assign an image. So how about saving time with application bundles? Here's an example that I like to showcase or like you to see. Here's an application, simple application that I have here that's actually set up to distribute Java to my devices in my environment. So a little bit about bundle sets right here, and so this is what you have in front of you. You got your distribute, you install, you launch, you verify, you uninstall, and you terminate. So with the application bundle sets, there is no complicated scripts to write. Simply change together a few actions to build the required logic for the application to work. Action sets help users to manage the application based on the operations performed during the application lifecycle management. You can group those applications under those action sets that I just showed you right here in this tab. So let's take a quick look at this application, in this case Java. So I'm going to look at the install tab, and on the install tab I got a couple of things that I actually had configured to run or during this actual process right here. Besides the copy directory and the ones you still listed right here, there are several more that can actually be added. There's a list of action sets that will complement it will allow me to build the proper logic for that application to run properly. So things such as copying directory, copying files, creating directory, adding deletes, displaying messages and so forth, editing files, editing registry settings, installing MSIs, MSPs, launching any other bundles for that matter, even running Java applications as well too, shutting down devices needed, also things such as running a script, start or stop a service and so forth. So as you can see, what this allows me to do is really craft everything that I need for the application to run. A quick example once again is let's highlight this action set that I have here that is called, that I've added a name, copy directory 32-bit. Okay, in this case all I'm doing is actually defining an action to happen. I'm actually grabbing a directory from a source server that happens to be my app server, and I'm going to copy it down to my device by using a variable, and I'm going to copy it down to that directory called Java 32. Now while I'm doing that, doing this specific action set, which is the copy directory, I'm actually doing this by using something at security level, an elevator security level, as the dynamic administrator. I'm using this to provide access to that source directory of those files to that device and the user, even if they don't have that. So I'm bypassing that security level. So I know that by using my dynamic administrator, by the server credentials that I've actually had put in place in there, that I'm going to secure the access to the source files in order to be able to grab it, copy and put it where it needs to go. There's some more stuff that we can do as well too. There's another tab called the requirements here. I can define a set of criteria, a filter that says, okay, do the action that we talked about before, which was copy a directory, only if, for example, the architecture happens to be 32. Okay, so you can add more pieces, more logic to that action set right there. So you can be looking for files, the architecture that we talked about, connection speed, drive space, and so forth, whether there is a file version in there or not, whether you have the right memory and so forth. And so you get the point. So a little more about the action set that we're discussing, which is the one about this Java installation. Here's another piece, right, that I'm actually naming this install Java, and all I'm doing is, in this case, in my action set, is to use a command line. And this command line, basically, I'm actually passing the executable, right, followed by perhaps whatever command line parameters that are required in order to actually run. Once again, I'm doing this to a 32-bit architecture. In this case, I'm actually defining that. So what I'm doing here, to be a little more explicit here, is that I'm defining an application, right, that can actually run on a 32-bit or a 64-bit. So there's pieces of the logic that will run on the 32-bit architecture based on the criteria that I have, and it would not run on a 64-bit architecture because I'm defining that requirement right there. So once again, it's a perfect example of the logic that you can actually do and leverage the lifecycle management of ZENworks right here. And here's another example of in this case, a launch command. Once again, you can actually add any additional logic, whatever it's required to. Okay, in my case, I'm actually doing nothing but launching a URL that tells me, okay, my Java is actually working, and so forth. So as you can see, it is very easy to build the necessary logic for my application to run and work properly. This doesn't mean that I'm gonna run an MSI exec or an MSI or an executable. We can build additional logic, whatever is required for that application to run properly, and that endpoint will allow you to do that without the creation of complicated scripts. So saving time also means truly saving time with faster application packages and deployment. So once again, this means a quicker time to package the applications and deploy them to your environment. So we talked a little bit about the Admin Studio. The Admin Studio is the Admin Studio's ZENworks edition is a customized version of the Flexera Software Admin Studio 2013 that integrates with ZENworks to help you create, manage, and distribute Windows software bundles. You do receive a license of the Admin Studio ZENworks edition when you purchase ZENworks 11 SP3 configuration management. Some of the uses for Admin Studio would be to allow you to capture legacy software installations and repackage them as Windows installers, commonly known as MSI packages. You can also customize Windows packages, Windows installer packages, edit those packages to add, modify, or remove files, registry entries, shortcuts, and directories as well. You can also use it to add custom actions to run BV scripts or search for prerequisites. You can perform the advanced configuration settings and create upgrade patches and so forth. But I don't want to forget one. Okay, you can also create transforms to customize Windows installer packages. So what you see here is the running right now in front of you is the repackager tool from the Admin Studio ZENworks edition. Once again, with this tool, you can actually publish Windows installer packages as Windows bundles to the ZENworks environment, to use ZENworks zone. Then you can use the control center, the ZENworks control center, to manage the bundles and distribute those to your managed devices. Another impressive ZENworks URL that helps you work smarter and save time is ZAB, ZENworks Application Virtualization. Novell ZENworks application virtualization lets you convert applications that run on Microsoft Windows into self-contained virtual applications. After being virtualized, an application becomes a single isolated file that runs instantly from anywhere, including a thumb drive or other removable media. If you use Novell ZENworks configuration management in your environment, you can configure your virtual application so that it checks to ensure that the ZENworks adaptive agent is installed on the device and the device is registered to your ZENworks management zone before the application can be launched. You can also publish ZENworks bundles that can be distributed using ZENworks configuration management. You can also stream these virtual applications using the ZAP server. To virtualize applications, you have the following options. You have the built-in applications template. This is there's our recipes and templates that exist out there in the cloud. You also have your local scan, or what we like to refer to application harvesting. This is when we actually go and scan an existing application, bring it up, and allows you to craft it the way you want to. You also have the snapshot. This is where this is an option that allows you to virtualize third parties, right? You take an initial snapshot, you install the application, and take the final snapshot. This allows you to do things such as third-party applications and even grab additional components that are required to inject into the logic of the application to run. And then you have finally the last one, which is the manual configure virtualization settings. This is normally suggested for application developers. This is basically where you actually go into this settings and you start plugging in all the features and settings and configurations that are required for the application to run. Work smarter, no longer, and save time with fast, no fuss imaging with ZENworks. Novell ZENworks imaging services provide functionality that allows you to perform automatic imaging tasks on managed devices, Windows or Linux, servers or workstations, before their operating systems actually boots up. Some of the actions that are allowed are to make an image of a device, hard drives, and any other storage devices. To restore an image to the device, apply an existing image to multiple devices, run imaging scripts on that device, run AutoJazz and Kickstart installations as well. To accomplish this task, ZENworks uses PXE, pre-executable environment, and also uses imaging bundles as well. Imaging bundles can be a combination of multiple actions chained together. The available action sets for imaging bundles include AutoJazz and Kickstart, the Dell DTK configuration, the imaging scripts, link application bundles, third-party scripts, third-party images, and finally also the ZENworks image as well too. Remember we mentioned using what works best for you? Novell Imaging supports Microsoft X and Symantec Ghost 11.5 third-party imaging tools. ImageX takes the image in the WIM file format, and Ghost takes the image in the GHO file format. We also support the native ZENworks imaging as well too, and engine and file format as well too. Also, ZENworks imaging has introduced the following support. Support for UEFI 231 or higher. The availability to create a bootable USB flash drive for booting either BIOS or UEFI firmware to perform imaging operations. And also the ability to integrate third-party scripted imaging as well. So imaging operation with ZENworks is fast and easy and allows you to save your time. Let's take a look at a couple examples. Let's see how simple it is to assign an image to a device from the ZENworks Control Center. Once again, this is a single tool, a single management tool, which you can perform management tasks regardless of where you are. you know, in your office, across the street, across the country. You get the point. So let's take a look at one device. For example, let's go into my workstations, into the Atlanta container, and select this device, which happens to be a VMware session. As I mentioned earlier, from here I can actually do multiple tasks, right? So I can actually do things such as take an image of this device. Remember, we mentioned about Pixie, the pre-executable environment. So in this case, if I actually say take an image of this device, the next time the machine comes up, Pixie, it boosts to Pixie, and Pixie is going to tell the device, hey, you know, there is a work to do. We're going to take an image of your device, and so forth. You can assign images and bundles as well too from here, and you can apply a rule base. In this case, a rule base is a configuration that I'm going to cover in a second that allows me to apply an image to a device even if that device has never been configured or into my management zone. For example, if that device is new, comes out of the box, I will have the ability to set up a rule and apply an image to it. Okay, so we talk about basically, you know, taking an image, also applying an image. But let's do something beyond that. Let's take a look at an actual imaging bundle. Now let's go into imaging. Let's pick up an image bundle. Let's pick up the Windows 7 sysprep here. And as you know, there is an action set, and we discussed action sets in a conversation previous to this one. But if I want to explore the action sets that I have in this imaging bundle, I have 3 configured in this case. And remember, I can have additional logic and all the logic that I require in order for the imaging process to happen. Some of the logic or tasks that can actually be added and was covered before, you can see it right here in front of you, right? But taking a look at the one that I have here, I call this one third-party image. Remember, we talked about the integration, how ZENworks imaging allows you to integrate with third-party imaging, allows you to use the WIM format as well as the GHO GHOST format as well too. In this case, in this example, we're actually going to grab an image that was created using the Windows imaging toolkit. This is a Windows 7 plain vanilla, all right? And it's going to be actually, I'm going to use in the zero credentials to go grab it and so forth. So this is an example using the third imaging application. Then what we're going to do on top of that, we actually have the ability to add, once again, additional logic. In this case, this logic that I want to add is the installation of Office 2007. So what I have done is basically decouple the installation of Office 2007 and make it an additional add-on image. Okay, so now I'm adding an application that's going to run as part of the imaging process even before the machine actually boots up. Okay, so more logic. And then finally, I'm going to go and say, okay, because my ZENworks, because my Windows 7 image is what I like to refer to as a universal image, I'm actually now going to deploy or install or apply an image set that has the drivers required for that specific type of hardware that I'm applying this image to. Okay, so as you can tell, now I can craft image, I can do stuff left and right, I can actually do things pre-boot and after, and then once I have the logic that I want to apply to, once again I can always assign the application, the image, to any device in my management zone. And as you saw it earlier, I can do that from multiple ways, by means of a quick task or action task, or by directly actually assigning it from here. We also talked about the ability to configure action sets, the ability to configure rules to be able to deploy images to devices. With ZENworks preview services, with ZENworks imaging services, I can still assign images from my desktop, from my management console, to devices that are not manage, or devices that I have not even put a ZENworks agent to be managed, or even perhaps a device or a computer that just came in and I opened the box, and in the moment I actually plug in this device into the network, as long as the device has PXE enabled, I'm going to be able to actually put an image on this device. Let me give an example of that. So we can set up what we like to refer to as rules, or hardware rules. In this case, I'm going to show you a very simple example. I have two rules created in my environment. One is to apply an image that is called Windows 7 with no script. The other one is to apply an image that has a script to devices that had a specific serial number or a tag number. So let's take a look at the first rule. If I look at my first rule, it's very simple to actually set up a rule right here. Once again, let me tell you, this happens if I set up a rule with a specific filter set. The moment the machine comes up and Pixel comes up and it finds that the hardware type is equal VMware, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that I'm actually going to deploy this image set, which happens to be an image bundle that we discussed previously. So as long as this happens, then the machine actually is going to start, getting the imaging work to do, and applies the image. And this other little simple, what we have is a simple rule that actually goes and says, hey, if this machine happens to have a serial number equals to XYZ, then apply another image right here. And once again, this is another imaging bundle that was created previously by us that can be, number one, applied directly to an image managed device, and or in this case, be applied to a device that has not been managed yet. So with ZENworks imaging services, it is easy to apply images. It is, like I said, it is fast imaging with no fuss, period. You can apply images to managed devices from the management console by selecting the device and assign the image, or even telling the device to take an image on the next time, or just flat out just assign a rule that says, hey, the device is new, it's never been on the network, but yet I'm still in control, I'm still going to deploy my new OS to these devices by ZENworks.